The Rwanda policy has been highly contentious almost from the beginning. Uh, it's a it's a slightly absurd policy known as the Migration and Economic Development Partnership. Absurd and controversial. Certain asylum seekers who arrive in the UK illegally are supposed to be relocated to Rwanda, where their asylum claims will be processed and they will remain for the rest of their lives. And if granted asylum, therefore, they will never return to the UK. If denied asylum, it's unclear what will happen to them. So the policy was designed by the Home Office under the leadership of Priti Patel, but it was executed and promulgated, promoted, promised by an increasingly desperate Suella Braverman. Boris Johnson endorsed the policy. Oh, get Brexit done! And it hasn't been remotely effective. The 4 people who have been sent to Rwanda from Diego Garcia have given interviews saying that it feels like they're in an open prison. They have experienced physical and emotional abuse. And one person volunteered to go to Rwanda and was immediately lost. It's not clear whether he absconded or what happened to him. He's simply disappeared. So there are human rights concerns about Rwanda. There are legal challenges to the Rwanda scheme. There is a question about the effectiveness in terms of numbers, and there's international criticism. The judicial review concluded that there were serious problems about the legality and implementation of the problem and the impact it might have on migrants as a deterrent, or indeed the abusive effect that it might have in practice. But the government's response was to enact the Rwanda law earlier this year, which declared Rwanda to be a safe country, despite evidence. So if you want to define something into existence, I would strongly recommend that people if people's whim is to define something into existence, then I would suggest they start reading Brian Davis's book about the introduction to the philosophy of religion, and they concentrate on the ontological argument, id quo nihil maius cogitare potest, and start by proving the existence of God. As for the Rwanda project, there's a Conservative parliamentary candidate and a former aide to the Home Secretary James Cleverly, a fellow called James Sunderland, who was the MP for Bracknell from 2019 to 2024, and he's running again. And he has been recorded in an interview where he was rather indiscreet, and he said the policy's crap, okay, it's crap. And he's talking about Rwanda. It's quite a relief to hear somebody actually telling the truth. He then went on, of course, and defended the Rwanda scheme because he is utterly a pillock, clearly. But, he says one thing in private, another thing in public, and you wonder whether or not you can believe this person, or indeed believe the party that he represents. And whoever opened that window, it's too wide. Sorry, I'm thinking about Miss Brodie in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie with Maggie Smith. 6 inches is quite enough. It's quite adequate. Anything more is vulgar. Mary McGregor, what do you want to do when you grow up? Oh, I want to do nothing. Nothing is perfectly adequate. I'm here to put ideas into new minds. Miss Brodie was a bully. Miss Brodie lived in a fantasy world, not unlike James Sunderland. I think we should probably redo James Sunderland's ridiculous words in the voice of Miss Brodie. The policy is crap, okay? It's crap. And now I'm going to defend the Rwanda policy because I've got no consistency and no mind. Hello, Mary McGregor. It's ridiculous ridiculous, and it needs to be put into context. Somebody who says one thing privately and then says another which is completely contradictory the next moment. That there is only one place for this person, and that's Hollywood.